I bought this bandsaw about a year ago, and I thought I'd give you my impression of it after a year of use. I like it. But seriously, for the most part, this bandsaw's checked all the boxes for me. I don't want to go into all the specs, but a couple I want to touch on is it's got a 14-inch resaw capacity. It's got a 3-horse motor. Those were two of the main features that I was looking for in a bandsaw. The dust collection on it is very good. It's got a port right below the table and also a port down below. I think most of your larger bandsaws have that, and I think some of even the smaller models are starting to incorporate that into their design. This is what the bandsaw looks like. I have not cleaned this out. This is just from the dust collection, the way it works. I have not done any cleaning on the inside of this. Now, I do have an Oneida 5-horse dust collector, so I'm sure that does help a great deal with this. But yeah, this is what the inside looks like. And now some of the features that I feel could have been improved on with this saw, and that's the tilt of the table. You have this locking component, which is fine, but you have this very small knob, and you're supposed to be able to twist this and the table will tilt. It doesn't work that well, in my opinion. I almost have to tilt the table manually. Now it will go back. It'll pull that knob back. But as far as tilting the table, I have to pretty much do that manually. Now, I don't know if and I've got this loose. I don't know if I do need to do some more lubrication on this, but this is how it pretty much came from the factory. I've not contacted them about it, but this is one of the aspects I feel like they could have improved on. Gave you a better knob and something that would probably, because see, I can turn it going back easily. It's just trying to get it to tilt. You almost have to do that manually. I'd like to talk about the rip fence. It is a good solid rip fence. You have a 6.5 inch height. You've got a scale on the front, both inches and metric. But there could have been some improvements made. If you have seen any of my other videos, you know I do a lot of my ripping for my segmented wood turning on the bandsaw. So by moving this over with the fence in this position, I can only get about 1 7/8 inches to the blade. Now I could raise the bearings up higher, but that exposes more of the blade. Can be a safety issue because a lot of the work that I'm cutting is thinner stock. It's like 1 inch, 3/4 inch in that capacity. So I could have raised the bearings up, but that makes the bearings further away from the wood, and I really like to keep my bearings as close to the wood as I can. Now, they did give you an option of pulling this aluminum piece off and putting it on the saw this way to where you can get a lot closer to the blade and still keeping your bearings low. That eliminates you being able to use this scale on the front. And that resorts to you have to use a tape measure to measure your distance. It's not that big of a deal, but they have this incorporated. I would like to be able to use this and also use this fence. I looked online to see if they had a smaller fence in this, the scale to fit on this as an accessory, but I haven't been able to see anything. I haven't seen anything like that. So I've ran it like this the majority of the time to cut my pieces this past summer, but I did come up with another solution. My solution to that problem is I went ahead and got a piece of wood, made it to the same thickness as that aluminum fence. I cut a groove in this because you have to fit this around this black bar. That's what clamps the aluminum fence to the main fence. So I cut that groove in there and I glued another piece of maple on the side, and then I cut a slot in there in order to make like a little bit of a T-track. That way this can slide on there and I can get a lot closer to my fence and still be able to use my scale. Now, if I'm running thin work, I still have a little bit of that blade exposed, but I am a lot lower than I am if I had the fence at 6.5 inches high. Now, I could actually take this and rip this down to make the fence even shorter if I wanted to. I just made this about a month ago, so I'll see how this works. But I feel comfortable with the blade. Even with the blade that much exposed, I feel more comfortable with it this way. So that was my solution for that problem. This one also has the armor glide on the tabletop, and that I really kind of like that. It does keep that very slick. I was concerned about wear on this, how well this would wear. Of course, it's only been a year, so if there was issues by now, they would have some major issues with this protection of this. But it's supposed to keep the bed from rusting, and it gives you a nice slick surface. I'm curious to see how long this really lasts, how well it holds up. But so far, I mean, I see absolutely no wear after a year of use, and it does leave a nice slick surface. Would I buy this saw again if I had an opportunity and I didn't already have it? Absolutely. It is a good, solid saw. The fence, even though I like the height of this fence, but I'd also like an option of being able to go smaller. I feel like I've resolved that issue with the wooden fence I made. The big problem I feel is with the tilting of the table. That I feel like they should have done a better job designing that. I shouldn't have to fight with that to tilt the table. Now, once you tilt the table, you can dial it back with that knob as you're bringing it back down to get it to the angle you're wanting. But I feel with the price of this saw, it should work a lot better than what it does. I feel like if they had a handle similar to this, it would have resolved a lot of their issues. But yes, I would buy this saw again. Now, when I first ordered this bandsaw, I wanted to get a good blade for it. And I had considered getting, and actually ordered, a Laguna Resaw King. It's a carbide bandsaw blade. I'd heard some bad things about it, and I was kind of on the fence whether I really wanted to order it or not. I've heard of blade breakage. I've heard of the carbide teeth popping off of it, and you have to send it in to get it fixed. So I was a little concerned about that. But when I ordered it, I guess they had a supply issue, and their supplies wasn't coming in, and it was going to be like a month and a half, I think, before I got my blade, and I didn't want to wait that long. So I ended up getting a Carter blade, 5/8 blade. Heard a lot of good things about that. Or had been somebody that even said they'd ran like 1,500 board feet of resawed 1,500 board feet of oak with it. And I'm thinking, and the blade was still running good after they were done. So I thought, well, I'll give it a try. And I could say my results aren't the same as what they were talking about, at least for my first blade. Most of the stock when I'm doing my segmented work, it's flat stock like this. So I'm running it through. I wasn't resawing that much work at the time. And when I started doing my pepper mills, it's like 3.5 inch thick stock. And most of what I run is like Purple Heart, hard maple, oak, and walnut. So I was running that, and I started hearing the blade, I could tell, had dulled down quite a bit when I started running that thicker stock. And I thought, well, maybe I need to take it off and go ahead and sharpen it. But then I started hearing this ticking sound. I'm like, this blade already has a crack in it. And I just went ahead and ran it until the blade broke. And I did order another Carter blade, 5/8 blade, and I'll give that a try. I thought maybe for whatever reason there's something, that was wrong with that blade, a defect. That stuff happens. So I'm giving it a try, and I'll see how this blade does. But, I wasn't resawing a lot of stock like this at the time. So why that blade dulled down so quickly, I'm not sure. But my results, I wasn't that happy with it, but I thought I'll give it another try and just see. So if there's a blade out there that you guys like and you recommend, leave it in the comments. I'm anxious to try something. But yeah, we'll see what this one does.